Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is putting an end to Disney's corporate kingdom. The governor revoking its self-governing power and forcing it to repay taxpayers hundreds of millions of its share in debt and taxes.
Florida's Governor Ron DeSantis joins us now. He has a new book out. It comes out today, and we're going to get to that coming up. Good morning to you, Governor.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning. There are a lot of folks at the diner that are with Brian, too. They're going to ask you questions after Lawrence, and I ask you a few, too. So we're so happy to have you on this morning. So yesterday, you've signed this bill taking control of Disney. What does this mean for the American people? What does this mean for the residents of Florida?
For almost 60 years, Disney's had an arrangement unlike anybody else in the United States, certainly anybody else in Florida. They've actually had their own government as a corporation. It's been something that's allowed them to be exempted from laws that everybody else has to follow in the state of Florida, gave them huge tax breaks, and actually allowed them to rack up $700 million in municipal debt. And at the end of the day, when they've gone the direction they have, going against our Parents' Rights Bill, talking about putting sexuality in programming, we were in a situation in Florida where, okay, corporations can do that. I think it's a mistake when they get involved in this stuff, but Disney was doing this, and Florida was basically de facto subsidizing their activism because of this special arrangement. So it's not good policy to have a corporation control its own government anyways, but particularly under these circumstances. And so we said the corporate kingdom is going to come to an end. They are not going to have their own government in the state of Florida. They're going to abide by the same laws as everybody else. They're going to pay their fair share of taxes and debts in Florida. And so there's a new sheriff in town, and it's a new day of accountability in Central Florida.
Real quickly, Governor, and I want to get to your ad, but first, there seems to be a split within the Republican Party on this issue. There have been some Republicans that criticize you and say it is not the government's role to do this. But you say, look, they're getting money from the state, they're getting subsidies. What went into your calculation of doing a decision like this?
Well, Lawrence, is it free market economics to have a corporation run its own government and be exempt from laws and be treated better than all its competitors? Of course not. You know, that's corporate welfare. And so this was something that had really been embedded in Florida's DNA because Disney was so powerful for many, many decades. Nobody even questioned this. And basically, Disney ran the show in this state for a long time until I became governor. And we said, you know, we're going to side with the people of Florida. We're not going to kowtow to a woke company based in Burbank, California. But make no mistake about it, Lawrence, we have a more competitive market today than we did when they were operating their own government, enjoying those special privileges.
Friends of Ron DeSantis' PAC have released this new ad. Let me play a little bit of it.
Florida has proved positive that we, the people, are not destined for failure. Success is attainable, and freedom is worth fighting for.
And this is fueling the rumor mill. People are wondering if you're going to run for president. There's a new Fox News poll that says you come in second behind Donald Trump. He gets 43%, and you get 28%. Granted, he's already announced. You have not announced. What's your reaction to that?
Well, I think it's less about that than about telling Florida's story. And one of the things that has struck us in Florida is Floridians are very pessimistic about the country's direction, about the Biden administration, but yet a majority of them were very satisfied and encouraged by Florida's direction. And so if you think about it, normally if things are going bad nationally, people are going to feel bad across the board. But people recognize that Florida's actually done it right. We've stood for the right principles. We've been willing to fight these fights when it's not easy. And we've stood up for a lot of people and really lifted them up. And so that's why the state has succeeded. I mean, we have people visiting here, moving here like never before. We got a record budget surplus, one of the lowest tax burdens in the country. We're #1 for education freedom, economic freedom, fastest growing state. So it's a good story, and I think the video is more about telling that story. And we have the book coming out, as you mentioned, and so the book really talks about a lot that went into that. And so I'd say it's more about that than any type of campaign thing.
You know, Governor, the book is called The Courage to Be Free, Florida's Blueprint for America's Revival, and it's on sale today. You make the case here how to be free. You provide the model to be free. I don't think you're the type of guy that would give this book to someone to also then run the country. So what goes into the calculation of the decision to run for president? Because you provided a model for the people.
Well, part of what we're doing with the book is showing how states can really take the lead. And we've had other states that have done great, too. Iowa had a red wave under Governor Reynolds. You've seen Georgia under Governor Kemp. They've really been able to lead their states in positive ways as well. So, we would love to see states, because the model's been there. The woke left states are failing, and the freedom-focused states are succeeding. And at the end of the day, I think that's really significant that we have our red states really lead the way. In terms of nationally, I think that we can turn things around. I've been pessimistic about sitting here with the Biden administration. A lot of people have. But there's a lot of great things about this country. There's a lot of great people in this country. And I think that, you just need a new birth of freedom. So we're going to, though, continue doing our job here. I have a big legislative session coming up. I made promises to the folks about what I would deliver, and we're going to deliver a lot of wins over the next few months. So I would stay tuned for that. That's going to be my focus. We're going to do some stuff on the book, tell the story of Florida, and then deliver a lot of victories. And then once the dust settles from that, we can see where things lay.
Governor, real quickly, with Florida taking more than 800 people a day, New York, California, Michigan, Wisconsin losing a lot of people every day, when they move down to red states and they make those states redder, does that hurt a Republican's chances for president? How do we ensure that a Republican could win?
Well, I think in a state like New York, as you know from being up there now, Zeldin would have done better if you just took all the people that had moved from Florida over the last 4 years.
Yeah.
There's no question about that. Those are massive numbers. I think the Midwest has been pretty consistent. We've got, if you're in February, you're down in Naples, you think you're in Wisconsin or Minnesota because they're all down there. And so we appreciate that. It's been great. But I think that the messaging is so different from what the Dems are offering that I think absolutely a Republican can win. But I do think in some of the states like New York and New Jersey, some of those governor's races would have been closer and maybe even gone the other way if you took, because it's not just 10,000 people that have moved. It is a lot, and it's been disproportionately Republicans who are fleeing the bad policies.
Well, Governor, you dominated in the midterms. Some of those people that made that happen are there with Brian Kilmeade, and they have some questions for you. Brian.
Yeah, Governor, great to see you. Congratulations on the book. You're no stranger to St. Johns County. Of course, the Metro Diner. I'm sure you've been here before. This is Linda. Linda, you have a question for the governor?
Yes, first of all, Governor DeSantis, thank you for all your hard work in the great state of Florida. I just want to ask about what you have in store for veteran teachers as far as salary goes. I feel like we have a lot to bring to the table, but we feel a little bit forgotten. We are sticking around when teachers are leaving the profession like crazy. So what do you have in store for us veteran teachers? We need help.
Great question. So first of all, Brian, my wife and I used to live walking distance from that Metro Diner. I remember when it opened. We've been there many, many times. We probably know a lot of the people who are there. It's a great part of the state of Florida, and we miss it. So the good news is we've increased teacher pay by over $2 billion. We did focus a lot on recruiting new teachers by increasing the average minimum salary. We've succeeded in that. So we're going to do a $1 billion categorical in our budget, and all of that increase can go however the school districts want. It's got to go to teachers. They can do all of that increase for veteran teachers if they want. But I'll tell you, one of the things that we saw this year, there was massive money for teacher increases. Some of the school unions were holding it up, and we had 6-9 months after the budget was signed, the teachers still didn't get a pay increase. So what we may do this year is put a limit to say, once we approve this in the budget, get it into the pockets of the teachers. So you're going to definitely see increased salaries and money for the school districts to raise teacher pay.
It's coming. Just get the unions out of the way. That's the theme. Thanks so much, Linda, for what you do.
Thank you.
And the performance of the Florida schools has been extraordinary of late. Governor, best of luck on the book. And we did an interview yesterday. You'll hear it on radio at 9 o'clock Eastern time. But back to you guys. Mark, I'm going to get to you in a little while. We had a few other questions lined up for the governor. But it's back to you guys in the studio. And I believe Johnny Van Zant is on his way. He's going to be joining us shortly. All right. Jacksonville's on.
Thanks, Governor.
Back to you.